Thank you, thank you. So, when I was 7 years old, ain't I cute?
Oh my God.
It was at my aunt's wedding, I was the ring bearer. When I was 7 years old, my parents took me to see my first Broadway show, Oklahoma. And I remember we came in late, and at the end of the show, I refused to leave. I thought, just like a movie, I could just sit there and I could see the beginning again. That wasn't the case. I don't want to go, I don't want to stay, I don't want to go. And my parents dragged me out of the theater, kicking and screaming. And from that day on, I realized, after seeing those beautiful stage pictures, that I wanted to be a scenic designer. I wanted to create those pretty stage pictures. So I went back to my public school, BS 64, and I asked the teacher if I could take a shoebox and instead of doing a book report, if I could do a little diorama, a little stage set of the book. And she said yes, and I would do that. And then I got into Hunter College, and I designed most of the stage productions. And then I finally got into Yale Drama School to study scenic design. It was the most prestigious theater school in the country at the time. It was a 3-year master's, and I was kicked out after the first year. I was told I had no talent. Wait a minute, you can't tell me I have no talent. I was a scenic designer since I was 7 years old. I was a scenic designer making those pretty stage pictures in public school. You can't tell me, not even Donald Owenslag, head of the Yale School of Drama Design Department, could tell me I was not a designer. So I went back to New York City. I became an apprentice in the union. And I took the test to become a full designer. It's a very difficult test. It's a whole month long. You have to do lighting, costume, and scenery. And guess what? I failed the test. I took it again, and I passed. And my fellow classmates at Yale were still in school, and I was doing national TV shows. Here are a couple that I did. Merv Griffin, Jackie Gleason with the Doomtail Dancers, and my favorite, Captain Kangaroo. So one of the things this journey taught me is that my thoughts and my intentions create my reality. Nobody could tell me I wasn't going to be a scenic designer. And of course that's a very unity principle, the third unity principle. We create a life experience through our way of thinking. And you know, for years I thought, what if my parents had taken me to see our thoughts and intentions create our reality, is what I just said. What if I'd been taken to a wrestling match? Not what I'd want to be. Okay, fast forward about 40 years. Can you imagine me as a wrestler? No way. I do have a bald head though. Fast forward 40 years, I'm no longer a designer. I'm now a writer and I'm a public speaker. And I had 7 or 8 books published by Random House, and they closed that little office, that division. And I got the rights back, and I tried to sell them. I was struggling for a year and a half to resell those books. The books did really well. They sold 400,000 copies, but nobody wanted to republish them. And for a year and a half, I struggled and struggled. I was on the phone, emailing publishers, nobody wanted them. And so I thought another unity principle is let go, let God. And so I thought I am going to let go and just let God handle this. And so I put this sign above my computer, and I would look at it every single day, hours and hours of my computer. I would look at the sign and repeat to myself, the perfect publisher will find me. So shortly after I did that, about 3 months after I did that, I went to a writer's meeting. It was actually a publicist meeting. People would publicize authors' books. And I sat in a room like this, and I sat on the aisle, and I heard 2 women behind me talking about they have a very successful publishing company, and they are looking for motivational, inspirational, uplifting books. And I turned around and I said, you know, I have 7 of them published by Random House that now could be published by somebody else. And they gave me their card and they said, send us the books. And I looked at their card and this was the first miracle. They lived 5 blocks from where I lived. I mean, their office was 5 blocks from where I lived. So I took the books to them the next day, and they have since published 8 of those books, and next month, next year, the 9th book is coming out. That was only the first miracle. The second miracle, Perfect Publisher Will Find Me, they got too big for the little office, and so they moved to another bigger headquarters, and it had a huge party, and I walk in the door to the party, and this woman comes up to me, she said, I am so glad you're with this, our house, our publishing house. I've known you for about 10 years, and I looked at her. I don't know. You said, well, I live in London, I'm not here a lot, I own this company. She said, but I used to see you walk your dog every single day because I lived across the street. The perfect publisher found me. So I gave you little cards today that said the perfect blank will find me. I invite you to take those cards. If you don't have them, there's so many go out. Take the card home and write what you want to create. Your thoughts and intentions create your reality. Write on it what you want. Anyone want to share what you're going to write or have written right now? Your perfect what will find me? Job, relationship. Yes, Lauren.
It's already true, the perfect audience.
The perfect audience. And it found you this morning. Great. Anyone else? Yes, way in the back. Jerry.
The perfect client.
Perfect client will find me. So take this, keep it wherever you can see it, write what you want to create in it. Because our thoughts and intentions create our reality. Okay, another story. It's a Saturday morning. Beautiful Saturday morning. I'm on my way to the gym. I'm driving along here on Geary Street. You know, there's a tunnel at Masonic. Did you know when you enter the tunnel, it's 35? We don't want this yet. Maybe we do. Leave it. It's 35 miles an hour as you go into the tunnel. As soon as you get out of the tunnel, it goes to 25 miles an hour. And I'm happy. I had just seen Billy Elliot on Broadway. I brought the CD. It's in my tape deck. I'm singing, electricity, electricity, inside of me, and I'm free, I'm free. And all of a sudden, you hear sirens behind me. It wasn't, I don't think I was being pulled over, but it wasn't for speeding. And I got a speeding ticket. Because I was doing about 42 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone, or higher. Anyhow, did I say that right? It was 35 miles an hour before the tunnel and 25 after?
Yeah.
So in 25 mile an hour zone, I'm doing about 42, got the ticket. And I get to the gym, I'm happy, I'm singing, I'm still good. And people are saying, Alan, how come you're so happy? You just got a speeding ticket. And out of my mouth came, I'm not going to let that policeman or that ticket ruin my day. And how often we let other people or other things ruin our day. And it was my intention to have an incredible day that day. I was not going to let anyone ruin it. And I thought, oh, a little light bulb went off, another idea for a book. So I wrote 52 ways of how to not let anyone or anything ruin your day. Because the thing about the book and the main message is that we see everything through our own eyes. There really is no inherent meaning in anything. I'll repeat that. There is no inherent meaning in anything. We see everything through our own eyes. So I want to read a funny story about that to illustrate that point. So this is about a man and a woman who've been married for more than 50 years. They kept no secrets from each other except that the woman had a shoebox in the top of her closet that she had cautioned her husband never open that box. And for all those years, the man never opened the box. But his wife was getting ill, and he thought, he better find out before she goes what's in the box. So he brought the box to his wife, and when he opened it, she said, you can open it. When he opened it, he found 2 crochet dolls and $95,000. So we asked her, dear, what about this? And she said, well, when we were young and married, my grandmother told me the secret of a happy marriage is to never argue with you. She said, if I get angry with you, I should crochet a doll. So the man was so moved he had to fight back tears. It was $95,000 and only 2 dolls. He was so pleased. And he said, honey, that explains the dolls, but what about all this money? Where did that come from? Oh, she said, that's the money I made from selling the dolls.
That's good.
He thought it was one way, she thought it was another. Everything, we see everything through our own eyes. So we always have a choice, and I love what the Course in Miracles said about that. The way we see things is, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? When you get in an argument or traffic jam, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Everything through our own eyes. You could be in a traffic jam, you could be fuming, this is awful, I'm not going to get to Unity on time. Or the car next to you be going, oh great, I didn't want to go to that meeting anyhow, now I have a good excuse. Everything's through our own eyes. Classic story I have in the book is about 2 salesmen. And they were sent to some far-off country, and this was a country where nobody wears shoes. And so one salesman sent back a note saying, I'm not going to be able to sell any shoes here, nobody wears any. And the other salesman sent back a note saying, great opportunity to sell shoes, nobody has any. So it's the way you look at things. I remember my mom, when she was moving to assisted living, she had this little TV table, and she was emptying the closet with the dishes, and the whole thing fell on the floor, and all the dishes broke. And she was in Florida, and here's like, speaking to her, she told me the story, and I kind of, oh Mom, I'm sorry. She said, no problem, now I have less to pack. Everything we see is through our own eyes. So, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? I remember one of my best friends years ago, I was writing my first book, The Healing Power of Humor, and I didn't see anyone, I had a deadline, I didn't know how long it would take, so I didn't go to dinner with people, I didn't send birthday cards. After the book was done, he said, Alan, I want to take you to coffee, I want to tell you something. And we sat down, he took out a list of 50 items of why he never wanted to see me again. And he started reading them, one after the other. And instead of, my intention was not to argue with him. I could have said, you're wrong about this or that. My intention was to let this go, to still be friends. And so I just said, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yes, every item. Yes, you're right. Yes, I didn't send you a card. Yes, I didn't return your call. Because I had a choice. Did I want to be right or did I want to be happy? And so we always have that choice. So I want to share with you 5 ways that you can harness the power of intention. The first one is you need to be really clear on what you want. When I wanted to be a scenic designer, I didn't want to be a brain surgeon. I didn't want to be anything else. I wanted to be a scenic designer. Ken gave a talk a couple of weeks ago about this, and he said you've got to name it and claim it. You've got to name it. What do you want? Be really clear on that. And the second thing is you need to put it down on paper. It becomes so much more powerful when you write it down. That's why I gave you those little cards. The perfect whatever will find you. Write it down on paper. I used to live in New York City. I would draw pictures of Victorian houses, some of them my fanciful drawings, and I would say to my wife, when we moved to San Francisco, because she was from here, someday we might move there, I want a Victorian house. And I put it down on paper. What do you think I have now? A Victorian house. Of course, you've got to write it down. It is really, really powerful. The third way to harness your intentions is that you don't have to know how things will happen. Again, a unity principle, let go, let go. It's not your job. It's not your job to know how it's going to happen. You put it out in the universe and let it happen. Let go, let God. So a little let go process for you. You all have some balloons. Take out your balloon. Give it a couple of big stretches. Think about something you've been struggling with, something maybe you want to happen in your life, you're struggling with, and blow that into the balloon, and then just hold on to the balloon. Okay, when I say 3, hold up your balloon in the air. When I say 3, you're going to let go of the thing you're struggling with and let go of the balloon. Ready? 1, 2, 3, let go. Let go. Some people don't want to let go. Let go. All right. I noticed some people got hit by other people's stress and struggles, but just let go and let God. Okay, the fourth way to harness the power of intention is to act on it. You can't just think about it. You can't just write it on the card. You need to go do something. So years and years ago, when I worked at CBS, Captain Kangaroo was the MC for the Macy Day Parade. And every year, since I did Captain Kangaroo, I had to do the set for Thanksgiving, and I had to be in the studio at 6 a.m. every Thanksgiving morning. And so a couple of years ago, I was watching the Macy Day Thanksgiving Parade on TV, and I thought, you know, I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning every Thanksgiving. Wouldn't it be great if I could march in the parade? And I had no idea how to do that. It was just my intention to someday march in the Macy Thanksgiving Day Parade. So I asked everyone I knew. No one knew how to do that or anyone connected with the parade. And so I put it on Facebook and said, this is my intention. I want to march in the parade. A friend said she doesn't know someone, but she'll find out who to contact. I contacted them, and in 2013, I marched in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Put out your intentions and go do something about it. And the last way to harness your power of intention is to lighten up. Lighten up. Because I think when you get too serious, you block things. You create this negative energy. You've got to lighten up. So I have a little lighten up reminders for you. It's in the packet that said, do not open. Would you all take that packet, hold it in your hand. Don't open it just yet. Hold it in your hand and close your eyes. Close your eyes. And with some stress or struggle that you're thinking about, just keep that in mind. Think about that stress or struggle. And with that in mind, I'd like you to keep your eyes closed, open the packet, take out what's inside the packet, and put that thing on your nose, and then open your eyes and look around the room. If it's not on your nose, open your eyes, put it on, and look around the room. You look great, you look like a patch of cherry tomatoes. What happened when you started to laugh? Oh, some of that struggle, stress went away. I invite you to take these with you. Maybe use it in traffic jams. Don't play with your nose and see what happens. Okay, one final story. One final story. So January 5th of this year, I put on my bucket list that I want to do a TED Talk. January 28th of this year, I get an unsolicited email. I put on my bucket list, do a TED Talk. 28th of January, I got an unsolicited email asking me would I be interested in doing a TED Talk. Wow. April 23rd, There I am on the TED stage, the round red rug, telling them about the power of your thoughts and intentions create your reality, just as I told you today. Let us take that into meditation.